Good evening, and welcome to our experience today. It is the experience today, but it's going to be our experience today. I'm your host, Mr. Roderick 310. Obviously, if you don't know by now, you know who the co host is. I shouldn't have to repeat this beautiful lady's name every time, but some of you seem to forget who we be, as we like to say in Gullah Geechee Nation, who we be. Um, my lovely co host, Miss Valerie Zen. What's going on? How you doing, girl?
I'm doing good. You know, this is the coolest place on earth, I hear, Florida, right
Mm,
now. Yeah,
mm.
everybody else is sweltering with no air conditioning. Somebody said to me today, we should send air conditioners to Europe and Brazil. I said, well, what good would that do? They don't have the energy. They shut down all the nuclear power plants. They took up on the whole climate scam. And they got these like windmills and solar things, and they don't have energy for air conditioning.
Right.
I mean, yeah. So, you know, everybody is suffering, and I just might add the dogs are especially suffering. It's just not only is it heat, but there's all kinds of bacteria and little mites and fleas and bugs everywhere, and it's like they just get itchy and infested, kind of like we are in our brains right now. Itchy and infested brains. Yeah. So listen, the experience today from waking up this morning until now feels like it's been years. It's just what happened today affected everybody. And we knew this was going to happen. Raise your hand if you thought it wasn't going to happen. Everybody knew it wasn't going to happen. And it wasn't going to be easy.
I had hope.
Of course, God gave us that, the ability to have hope. And we still will have hope because there are backdoor ways into everything. I always told my daughter, you're never stuck. You can always get out. You can always change course. And I think I think Trump also knew this was going to happen. I think his whole team knew this was going to happen. The few people that are on his side warned him this would happen. So, you know, obviously, I think Holman did a press brief today, and he said, well, now we're just going to do more deportations. We're just going to get on this, certainly in that way. And mass deportation is probably, Marlene is saying she can't hear. Can she hear, does she hear me or both of us? I don't.
No, I just sent a feeler to see if people could hear me, but no one responded, so I'm guessing no. So I'm working on the back
Yeah,
end here. So go ahead, keep talking. I'll work on it
yeah.
real quick.
Marlene said she needs to refresh because she can't hear. So, um, so we're looking at mass deportation. We have a national security issue. Our enemies are coming into this country. Trish says she hears fine, so that's good. We have packed areas with lunatics who vote. I mean, I don't know how people are not seeing. I mean, I saw my daughter this weekend, and you know, look, she's been New Yorked, as I always say. She's been affected by living in New York City in a way that I can honestly say I did not bring her up this way. I did not bring her up to think this way. And it is what it is. So I informed her what the SAVE, I start off easy. I informed her what the SAVE Act was. And she looked at me and she said, well, that makes perfect sense. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? So then you have to look at the people you voted for, or possibly voted for, or probably never voted for because they rigged all the elections anyway, and say, why are they doing this? Why are they not voting to have free and fair elections? And the answer is because they're cheating us out of the elections.
Right.
And so you have to see that. You're forced to see that. And that's a pretty low level, easy, common sense thing to see. And there are some people out there that are so heavily indoctrinated and filled with hate for this country that they don't hear you anyway. They don't, you know, they're just oblivious. So obviously you can't go there. I don't think we could possibly, I don't think we'll live long enough to change the Constitution in any way in terms of birthright citizenship. It took 50 years to shift abortion, so, you know.
Well, but see, here's the beautiful thing though too, right? And I got back home today because I had to go to the sheriff's office today and handle some paperwork and things of that nature. And I was thinking, I was like, so we lost this fight.
Yeah.
Right, on this front, right? But Section 5 of the 14th Amendment is very important, right? Because Section 5 and I want to repeat it verbatim. I don't want to ad-lib it because the words actually mean what they mean. I need to actually. I know what the words are, but it's one of those things where it's like I need to recite it exactly what it is. Right. Section 5 of the 14th Amendment says Congress shall have the power to enforce by appropriate legislation the provisions of this article.
That's
so
right.
People are, some of you are going to ask, what does that mean, Rod? Well, the legislature can define by law what birthright citizenship is, or what that clause even means. They can legislate that. They can turn around and say, no, you cannot come here and have a baby and it be a citizen. They can do that by law, by statute. And if you do so, it should be it should be a first-degree felony, right? Because not only are you defrauding the country, you're defrauding the people at large, right? And your minimum sentence should be 25 years in prison. And then deported after to never come back. And if you do come back after that 25-year sentence, and look, I'm not a proponent of the death penalty, but you know what? The only thing that's going to stop these people is the death penalty.
Oh, you bet. That'll be a deterrent. Well, you know, are you done with that?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, because I did a little research today on the McCarran-Walter Act, because I have to say, I didn't know, right, I didn't know the exact explicit meanings behind what this was, 1952. Well, it goes back further than that, but even if you start at 1952, it very interesting how it got set up, because it was very strict in its essence at the beginning. It shaped U.S. immigration for decades. And then there were reforms in 1965.
Right, the Hart-Celler Act, and that's what started bringing the...
And that's kind of like what they use today, the Supreme Court, to justify not changing it, shifting it, approving it, whatever the hell they did. I read some of what Clarence Thomas said, which was 90 pages worth of beautiful, brilliant common sense, but let's face it, common sense out the window. I would not have liked being a Chinese person in this country, an Asian. Well, I don't know if Asian exactly fits the bill to describe what the Chinese people were being
Well,
put through.
well, yeah, the Chinese Exclusionary Acts was only for China, but we had Vietnamese here, we had Filipino here, we had Indians here, like Bindi Dot Indians. They were all here. They were already here, but it was only
Right.
the Chinese through the Chinese Exclusionary Acts where they were, second class or an underclass, right, in that regard.
Do you think there was a reason for that back then? I mean, psychologically, because I don't really understand why the Chinese people were so stand out, excluded from our country back then. Is it just because of communism?
Well, we got to remember, communism wasn't even a thing then, right? Because we're thinking, right? Chinese Exclusionary Acts were, I'm trying to think, when were they passed?
20s, 1920s?
No, way before that. Because Kim Wong-ark is 1890, 1890s,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're talking, it was right after Reconstruction.
1790.
1882. 1882 was the
Okay.
Chinese Exclusionary
Yeah,
Acts,
this is
right?
like, this act is all over the place, I
Mm-hmm.
have to say. I went through like reading so much material and putting it together. I
Right.
said, wow,
So
this is really, yeah.
So now
Okay.
I remember now. I remember now, right? So what ended up
Okay.
happening, how we got there with the Kim Wong arc, right? We have to go back to 1875, the Page Act, right? The Page Act actually banned East Asian women from coming into the country, right? Because the assumption was these East Asian women were brought in for purposes of prostitution.
Oh,
Right. So now
I see.
so after that happened, right, then you get the Chinese Exclusionary Act, 1882, right, which was the 10-year moratorium on importing people of Chinese descent as laborers into the country, skilled or unskilled. Then you got the Scott Act in 1888, right, which basically barred Chinese laborers from coming back into the country if they left. Right. So then after that, there's one in 1892. What was that? Give me
Well,
some. Geary Act.
all right.
That's it. The Geary Act in 1892.
Okay.
Right. Added
Yeah.
another 10 years on top of the 10-year moratorium, which made it 20 years you couldn't import a Chinese immigrant for labor, skilled or unskilled. Right. And then in 1902, they removed the extension because of the Kim Wong-ark decision in 1896, right? So that's how we got here under the citizenship, and then with the whole thing after the Philippine American War in the late 1800s under Roosevelt, they had to move because of the immigration coming from East Asia. Now insert the McCarran Act, and that's how we're
I
here.
tell you, this has been so fucking confusing.
Yeah.
I never researched something for so long, for hours today, and I just kept like looking up and saying, what the hell? No wonder no one has been able to put this together the right way. And definitely Amy Coney Barrett and the other idiots, they didn't know what they were doing. And I'm sorry for calling them idiots
No, you're
if
good.
anybody is offended. So, just think about this. Originally, in our time, 1952, each nationality received a visa allocation equal to 1/6 of 1% of the number of people of that ancestry living in the United States, according to the 1920 census. Now that's pretty definitive right there. There's a numerical quota involved in the whole process. So the first preference was immigrants whose professional skills, technical training, or specialized experience the Attorney General determined to be urgently needed and beneficial to the national economy. Isn't that where Trump is trying to get back to? Trying on some level. If he doesn't get anybody helping him, he'll never get back to this, certainly. The second preference, 30%, parents of U.S. citizens who were at least 21 years old. Okay, so they couldn't be DACA, they couldn't be kids or illegal kids coming over the border. It had to be at least 21 years old. Third preference, 20%, spouses and children of lawful permanent residents. Fourth preference, these were preferences. Other relatives, including siblings and adult children of citizens who could access any unused visas from the higher categories. So the law also gave non-quota status to spouses of American citizens and established a labor certification system designed to prevent new immigrants from undercutting wages for American workers.
Yep.
Hello.
Sure did.
We are so back here in 1952 that it kind of makes my skin crawl. We are just really back here. So, you know, and it did start out racist. I mean, in the 1700s, it was racist. It was, because you have to look at, you know, the people that came here that just didn't know any better. And I'm sorry, you just have to go to that place and say they didn't know any better. End of story.
No,
so they established, they established these rules and regulations based on the unknown, on things they didn't know. They certainly wouldn't have known that we'd have airplanes. They certainly didn't know that we would have the ability to build tunnels to push drugs. There's so much they couldn't have known about today. And that's the end of that story as well. But some of these things made a lot of sense in terms of protecting the sovereignty of the citizens of the United States, of which it's pretty obvious we don't have very much of that right now. So these acts codified specific acts that could cause an American citizen to lose their nationality. That 8 USC 1481. And I've heard a few people talking about this on podcasts. So this prompted me to actually search this, because I realized they didn't know a hell of a lot about it. And because today happened, I said, oh boy, I better get busy. Obtaining foreign citizenship, voluntarily naturalizing in another country after turning 18. What would happen to us, Rod, if we decided, gee, I'm thinking about getting married, and I think we're going to just go to Japan and have a baby and claim that our baby is a citizen of Japan? Would that work?
Nope.
Nope. Name me a country where that would work.
Very few. Very few.
Exactly. So we're dealing with a deck here that is so freaking lopsided that we need to grab a hold of this in whatever way we have to. Now, I will sidetrack and say, I realize this war in Iran is cutting the teeth out of the CCP, of China, who are presently in big business operations, shipping women over here. They could have been raped, they could be prostitutes, we don't know, but they're shipping them here to have babies and then bring them back to China to be raised in the CCP. And then from another country, they get to vote by mail, they get absentee votes, or they come here and they vote and they live. and they teach in the school systems, and we could go on and on. So swearing allegiance to a foreign state, taking a formal oath of allegiance to a foreign government. I'm sorry, but does Ilmar ring a bell? She stands on the TV saying she loves Somalia and she hates America. What are we doing? And she's in Congress. And Mamdani hates our government and our country and is now mayor of New York, the financial center of the world, well, of the country. It's mind-boggling that these people are not arrested for treason. Treason or sedition, take your pick, being convicted of treason, attempting to overthrow the government by force, or conspiring to do so?
Right.
Sharia?
Something like that. See, and here's my thing to that too, right? Because I hear, and I got to go off on this a second, right? Because, and I know the show title's moving on, but I can't move on from this,
no, it
right?
was moving out.
Moving out too. Yeah, moving out too.
I want them to move out. I do.
So my premise is, right, is that I've said, you've heard me say when I've talked about the 14th Amendment before, especially when it comes to birthright citizenship, how literally how quote unquote racist it is. And the people that are fighting for birthright citizenship are literal xenophobes and ethnophobes and racists. I've said that for years, and I still stand on that, right? But I want to get to the core of this, right, and why these people think this way, because it's part of their natural brain deflection, right? Because they think everybody that thinks like us outside of their bubble are the racist. We're this, we're that. The right is racist. Republicans are racist. But let's not forget, right? Let's not forget why they go there, right? Because we have to remember the 14th Amendment itself, right, was installed by a military coup. Not going down that road right now. That's a lot to explain. But the 14th Amendment was a very slick way to abolish states' rights. Even though the 10th Amendment stands, right? But what do the people that call us, like people that call us racists and stuff and all these tropes, right? What is their thing when it comes to the Civil War? Oh, states' rights. It was racist, right? They used that trope, right? The 14th Amendment, right, was low-key response to states' rights. It nullified the 10th Amendment, right? Because nothing in the U.S. Constitution before the 14th talked about citizenship, did it? Nothing. No. Citizenship was a state issue. And by virtue, right, by virtue of having state citizenship, let's say Florida, right, you are also a United States citizen. The 14th Amendment took away the state's ability to hand out citizenship, right, and gave it to them to hand out the citizenship.
Sure.
Right? And this is what these people don't understand. When they say these things, and then when they say, oh, well, if you don't believe in the Constitution, don't throw up the Constitution to me now, right? When we've told you, right, that black and brown people in this country have been, will be, and now continue to be hurt by the 14th Amendment, because none of these immigrants are going to these inner city neighborhoods, and these same people have the nerve to call those same inner city people chimps. Yeah, I'm going to say it. They call them chimps. They call them all kinds of shit. But yet they want to sit here and say, we stand on the Constitution. Well, you're standing on white supremacy, my friend. You are standing on the side of the government having carte blanche to bring these people across the border and put them right into the hood, because they're not coming to neighborhoods like mine and yours, Val. They're not coming to our neighborhoods. They're not sending them. Well, but I'm saying they're not sending them there. They're sending them to Orlando. They're sending them to Miami. They're sending them to Tampa. Huh?
The cities.
Right.
The cities.
Into the inner cities. And then you got mayors like Brandon Johnson that diverts money from the black neighborhoods on the south side of Chicago to help immigrants to restore a school in the South Side in the face of black people to accommodate illegal immigrants to gentrify them out.
Oh,
This is what
you want to talk about school bond fraud? There it is. There it is.
And these people seriously sat here on the internet today and stood 10 toes down on this decision. But these people at the same time claim they are so-called pro-black. They are so pro-dark melanated people and pro-Jewish people and all this. But they stand 10 toes down on stuff like that. That is a detriment to these communities. A detriment.
Totally. Totally. Okay. So now we had some heavy duty registration and screening requirements when people came here that we don't have now. It's non-existent. Biden opened up that border. I guess so did Obama. And I heard Steve Bannon the other day say there are 80 to 100 million illegals in this country. I mean, I want everybody to think about that number. What are we, 300 million? 100, that's 1/3 of our country have illegal people running. And listen, I'm not saying they're good, bad, not anything, but they are illegal. And some of them have been here for 20 years. They are illegal. They're sending money out of the country. Some are paying taxes, some are not. And those are the good people. Those are the nice people. I'm not accusing anybody of being an ungodly being. I'm just saying if we don't have regulations. Now listen what it used to be. The registration was, the act imposed a registration and fingerprinting requirement on virtually every non-citizen in the country. Under the 8 U.S.C. 1302, any alien 14 years or older who remained in the United States for 30 days or longer had to register to be fingerprinted. Parents or legal guardians were responsible for registering children under 14. Once registered, the obligations continued. Every alien 18 or older was required to carry their registration card at all times. Okay, now that sucks in and of itself, but I want to continue with this because if this doesn't put off someone trying to get here, I don't know what does. Failing to do so was a misdemeanor, punishable by a fine of up to $100 or up to 30 days in jail. That was cheap back then, right? Anyone who moved had to notify the Attorney General of their new address in writing within 10 days. The screening process for prospective immigrants involved multiple layers. Consular officers at embassies abroad conducted the initial investigation, running background checks and personal interviews before issuing any visa. These officials had worldwide discretion to deny applications. Upon arrival at a port of entry, the Attorney General held final authority to admit or exclude the individual based on full investigative record. The cumulative effect was a surveillance architecture that tracked non-citizens from their initial application through their entire stay in the country. To me, that would mean you better be freaking serious about wanting to be here, because I would not like to live that way. It's kind of like living as a fugitive somewhere where you don't belong.
Look, you're a guest. You are a guest in someone's house.
Yes.
But like let's keep this real, right? And again, this is why like, and I don't want to get into complete my political theory or anything, right? I guess it kind of influences my experience today, right? but
yeah.
this is why I disagree with the Murray Rothbards, right, and the F.A. Hayeks, right? Because if we the people are having inhabited a land, we've irrigated land, we cultivated the land, we put our blood in the soil of that land is our property.
Yes.
That land becomes our property collectively, right? We have the right to own that property. And how we govern that piece of property is how us, the citizens or the inhabitants of said territory, sees fit. Right? This is, this. If you come into my house, I let you into my house. Here is the stipulations. If you don't like it, you can walk out the same way you walked in. But if you don't walk out fast enough, we will help you walk out.
Slip out the back, Jack.
Like that's how how it should be. Period.
Absolutely. And it was Harry Truman that vetoed the whole frickin' thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So, he said, oh, you got to allow families to be together, and you got to give out 20,000 visas annually. Well, today that's like 2 million, and 2 million is not enough for voting and cheating. So you got to let the masses in. So, and Mamdani's election, by the way, so few people even turned out, so that the non-citizens were voting. That's why they won. It's as simple. It's simple. They have the election system so rigged out, even on a cultural level. But the illegal people that are here, he rounded them all up from Bronx, Brooklyn. He knew them all. He walked around. He got everybody to come on in and vote for me, and I will set you free. Yes. Okay, so I think now when you just look at this that happened today, you can't help but think, what else is going on underneath all of the illegal immigrants coming into our country and taking it over and demanding that we feed them, that we house them, that we give them medical care, that we educate them. The education of some of them would be a real task, mind you. They don't understand a word of English. It's just like, what are we doing to our children by allowing this to happen? So the real ugly issue all of us have to see, and I mean everybody, even the people you hate having these conversations with, because they're so dumbed down and they're so numb to everything and they don't want to hear it. They have to hear some of this. And if we have to be the ones that force them to hear, we just have to. Because we're at a point now, no one's coming to save us. That's the point. But what we have to see is the fraud. And I attended virtually a fraud seminar that took place last week, and it was so mind-boggling that everybody has to see this. And it started out with the school bonds. That's where our biggest fraud is taking place right now. Like the Leering Center. Oh, it is. It is. Because the people who are running the boards, the appraisers, they have no experience in business whatsoever. They're all sitting there, a bunch of dummies. And if anybody's on the school board, I'm not accusing you. I'm saying this about a population of appraisers. Every time they come across an issue, they just say, oh yeah, we'll fund that, raise the taxes. We'll fund that, raise the taxes. and the taxes just keep exploding and exploding for them to continue, like building stadiums that no one's ever played in on a school campus, or I don't know, hiring more crooked, well, anyway, we're being cheated by demonic politicians in our own country. Now, why would they do that? Like, are they afraid of being called racist? That's part of it, I think.
I would say that's like 80% of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's 80% of it. You know what I mean? They and again, right? To your point, when you're looking at that stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at that from places that are densely populated.
Yes.
And those densely populated areas are more than likely, we know. Well, I'm not going to repeat it again. We know what that demographic looks like. So yes, you're not going to be called racist if there are so-called light melanated people running the show. But no, let a dark melanated person run the show, and the fraud goes undercover, through the cover, between the sheets like the Isley brothers, and comes out on the other side, and your drawers like shit, and no one says a word to you.
Between the sheets, baby. Well, there's also the control and the money and the deals that they all make with each other, and I think also it's a safety issue. The people doing all of this, the lunatic politicians, they believe truly they're going to be safe. They're going to be safe from the enemy when the enemy attacks. And that's just bullshit. They're not going to be safe. They're going to be the first ones they go after because they know their tricks. They know what's going on. So we have rigged elections. Oh, you know what I wanted to bring up right here? De Blasio. I don't know if anybody knows this, but he was the mayor of New York before Adams, before Mamdani, obviously. And he was an awful communist. He was like the originator of numbing New York City. He actually attempted to take down all the charter schools in Harlem. Notice he went after Harlem.
Right. Yep.
And yep. I just want to say it was the people who came out loud and screaming and demanded the documents and demanded the information. And you know what he did? He backed down. He backed the fuck down. So here's the real message, because I don't want to run out of time tonight. There's too many important things that I've learned in the past couple of weeks, and I just gotta share this stuff with you. Motivation. We have our own definition now of motivation, and it's to save ourselves and to save our children and to save this country. Because why does everybody want to be here? Because it's the best, because we have freedom. Bottom line, we have a constitution, we have weapons, we have all the things necessary to keep our country. So we have open records requests. I don't know if people are aware of that. We can actually go to our local officials
mm-hmm.
and demand the records, demand the information
right.
from our local government officials.
Those are FOIA requests, so everybody doesn't know. That's short word for that is FOIA.
Exactly. And I didn't write that because it didn't come into my head. But we can actually arrest them for stealing our money. But we need a team. We need to form teams. They don't have to be huge, but we need a team of people, like a little prayer group. Go demand our requests for information. I heard a story last night from a lawyer in Texas, and I'm sorry I don't remember his name. It was on Patriot Street Fighter. It was Scott McKay's show. This was a damn good show to catch. It's on YouTube or Rumble, Patriot Street Fighter. This guy is taking on the Supreme Court of Texas because he's already caught them in a coup overriding the state constitution. In other words, stealing the taxpayers' money. They're totally ignoring the Constitution of Texas. They're taking our taxpayer money, giving it to the Islamic terrorists to build their mosques, to build their schools, to build their little cities, and it's obvious they don't like us, they don't like our country, they don't like our Constitution. They love Sharia law, and that's what they want, and that's what they want for us. And they say so. This is not me making this up. It's public. They're out there screaming for Sharia law, and it's been done in the past. It's 1979 in Iran. They're coming for us. Let's get busy requesting records from our local government employees. If they're treasonous and they are acting outside of our laws and our Constitution, depending on which state you're in, we're going to start with local, right? Let's get their asses out. Let's arrest them. Let's charge them. Let's find lawyers, if we have to, that can help us with this, who are brave enough.
Well, you really so let me add to that before we segue away from that, right?
Okay.
So you can actually do that without an attorney. Now the arresting part, that's the end result, right? But the first thing you would have to do is when you file your FOIA request and you get the information, then what you would do is have to file a signed affidavit, a sworn affidavit to what you have witnessed and what occurred, and you need to turn that in to your county or your county district attorney's office, and then go from there on that part. If the district attorney's office doesn't take it up, well, guess what? You go directly to the state attorney's office with the same affidavit, same sworn affidavit, right? And if they still don't respond, then at that point you have carte blanche to literally file a lawsuit against them, and then basically have them removed, have their bonds removed, right?
Correct.
And then from there, you can arrest them criminally at that point. But that's a process. And again, like I said, you need some brave people that are willing to stand up, because the government will not allow it to happen. They will push back. They will threaten you. Right. You come to their meetings. They will have you removed. They will violate your First Amendment, your Fourth Amendment, while they're doing it, right? But we're at a point we cannot be scared to exercise our rights, because the government says, well, they don't exercise them. We're going to pretend they don't exist. And when you do exercise them, we're going to arrest you and call it disorderly. You cannot.
Like Tina Peters?
Right. And it's like, you cannot turn a person's constitutional rights into a crime.
A crime.
That itself is criminal itself. I mean, that's grounds for a Monell claim by itself.
Mm-hmm.
To get your municipality sued, and you sued personally, because now at that point your whatever immunity, absolute or sovereign immunity or qualified immunity you have, is now gone. Now you're screwed. I'm taking your house, your car. I might even take your wife and kids if you fuck around. I'll take all of it.
Definitely, most definitely. This guy in Texas, I mean, I'm looking at strong military guys. These are guys who have been forever fighting, and they're fighters. They're street fighters. This one guy was actually in tears because he went to an opening of a movie that Scott McKay happens to be in and was involved with all the producers. It's called The Alamo. TheAlamoMovie.com. It'll be available real soon. And it really is about the Alamo. I mean, Texas is it. So we do need to learn how to form this military alliance and take action. But this guy that was crying, Lara Logan, was in the movie. And most of us know who she is. She's an investigative reporter. She does have a show on Rumble. She's brilliant. She's just a lovely woman, super smart. She tells the story and actually shows some video of what happened to her in the Middle East when she was gang raped on assignment. And her cameraman kept the camera running while she was being attacked, gang raped, and hanging on to his shirt the whole time that it was happening. And I know this is graphic, but they were saying that these ruthless beings were shoving sticks up inside of her. They were brutalizing her in a way that we don't even comprehend. And I think we better start comprehending it, because look what's coming at us now, what just is happening in Texas.
I mean, let's just, I'm just going to say the quiet part out loud, right? And again, I'm entitled to say this because of all of the years, right? And now it's sitting in our front yards, in our face. How dare these people that call people that look like me savages, but are scared to, and indigenous, look, this, and include indigenous people, because they called indigenous people savages too. These same types of people, right? But they are scared to call the Islamist, the Islamo-Nazi, and the Muslim the savage. They are scared to say that on the microphone. And I know exactly why. You know exactly why. And the people that are listening know exactly why. Right? And this is the problem. When you have a sect of religious people that does dastardly things like beheading people over religion, shooting Christians and throwing them in mass graves because they're not of Islam, right? When you look, you have people on our soil doing FGM on our soil, right? Like you just described, but they won't call them savages because, oh no, it'd be Islamophobic. No, those fuckers are savages. Because no human being in their right goddamn cotton picking mind would ever ram a stick up a woman's vagina. Ever. Unless you are a demented savage. And if you do shit like that, you are a motherfucking savage. And I stand on that.
Well, remember Donald Trump got in trouble for calling them animals?
At this point, was he lying? Was he lying?
No, he was not lying. The problem is people are refusing to see what is here in our country, what these demons have allowed into our country just to win an election. How sick is that? Just to conquer the United States of America? How sick is that? I don't think we were ever able to believe this was really happening. We've been talking about this for years and years, but I don't think we really believed it was going to happen. But it's on our doorsteps now. And it's going to happen. We're going to have a really rough summer. And I know Donald Trump, he's having a convention, a midterm convention for the first time. Oh, we're going to have 4th of July. Meanwhile, back at the farm, I don't know which farm we're talking about anymore. Oh, Joy Reid said she prefers Juneteenth to the July 4th, the date that ultimately freed mankind. I think I'm not trying to hear that because I don't freaking understand how a black woman who is well-to-do, who is on the TV media, could make a fucked up statement like that. Oh, it's just a day to have another barbecue. Well, go stick a Frankfurter up your ass, as far as I'm concerned. You know, I'm really upset on a level that's not about the ruling today. It's how it spells itself down to the root system. I want everybody to look in the basement now of every issue you see. How did it start? How did this become a thing? What are we really looking at? Where is the poison? Where is the money changing hands? Who are the evil, treasonous, seditious people? Let's analyze this and start forming these groups of people. Get into a team, find out where the stealing is, which is on all the school boards for sure. And that's why when the parents were going to the school boards and raising their voices, they had the FBI come and pull them out. Are you kidding me? Why would they do that? Because they're guilty as shit. That's why they're doing it. I'm disgusted right now. I'm disgusted with people who refuse to see what's going on, refuse to take action. It's time. Get your bullets, get your Patriot food in gear, but my God, form a posse even if it's 3 people. Get into those offices, demand the paperwork, demand the information. It's yours. Let them shut the door in your face. Come back again 2 hours later. Be the worst pain in the ass they've ever bargained for. Just do it. Let's find the fraud. Let's arrest these motherfuckers. They're too good at this. They're too good at stealing from us. We need the bikers. We need the military fighters. Little House on the Prairie had better schools than we have. What are we, number 50 on the list of uneducated children who can't read and write? My God.
Yeah,
they
something
certainly
like that.
Couldn't tell you the 3 branches of government. They have no civil education, civics. They have no constitutional education. By the way, Young Washington is coming out in the movie theaters. Take your children, your grandchildren, any children off the street. Take them to see this movie, Young Washington. It's going to be wonderful. I've seen sections of it. The trailer is amazing. Go look at the trailer to Young Washington. Go see the movie. See the Alamo movie. You know, we have to help people to see what they can relate to. They can relate to a movie. It's entertaining. Get entertained through education. It's the best way to learn anyway. They're living on our fear. Islamic terrorists are living, they love fear. They love terrorizing. That's why they're terrorists. They love scaring the crap out of women who are screaming as they're getting raped. They love to see children screaming. I'm not going to name the reasons. It's disgusting. And here's another thing. And you know, anybody can, this is not an argument. Tell me what you think. Is there such a thing as a peaceful Muslim? Is there? Because I read the Quran. I've seen sections of. Yeah.
So I'll say it like this, right?
Yes.
Yes and no, and I'll give you my reasons why, right? Because we have to remember, right? The Quran is translated. You know what I mean? It has been translated and then transliterated, right? So here's lies part of the problem, right? Because if I have to look real quick, but if I remember correctly, give me a second. Because I think I know this one, but I need to double check and make sure before I speak falsehood.
Okay. Some of them are quiet because they know that their own people are capable of killing them. See, they know that. The peaceful Muslims know that their own people will come to kill them. So they understand.
It has been, it is written in classical Arabic, and it's been a lot of words in it has been transliterated and then retranslated, right? So you have people, that are reading it from the modern tense, and they're becoming quote unquote radicalized, right? There are Muslims, right, that are say, hey, that's not what the text, they even buck back and say, this is not what the text actually means. But obviously, right, they're the minority and they're going to get drowned out, right, when they're when interpreting the text. Like the one imam in Australia, what's his name? He's very popular. He's been on a lot of conservative talk shows and podcasts and all that stuff. Imam Tawhidi, Tawhidi, right? He tells you, like, the radical Muslims, the ones that have been radicalized, read the text in the modern sense, not from the classical Arabic writing it was written in, right? Now, yeah, and he agrees, right, that there's some parts of it that is very effed up. That what Muhammad did, he admits that out loud, but he is like, the text as a whole is not an evil or a terroristic type thing. It's the extremists like the Osama bin Ladens and the Mujahideen and all these people that have bastardized the text to mean something it's not. Right. So I believe that there is Muslims that interpret the text in that manner, and they're cool as hell. Right. But then you have the ones that are like in our face, like in Office in Dearborn. Right. And Hamtramck and places around the country. Minnesota. This is not a Somali. This is an Islamic thing. Right. I'm not even going on nationality. Right. The fraud. Right. And again, right. And this falls right into their playbook. Right. Because in the Quran, people have interpreted taqiyya as being able to lie to hide intentions, right? Hello, Minnesota, right? Mm-hmm. Fraud. I mean, it goes hand in hand.
They're pirates.
Right.
It's in their DNA. They're pirates. That's how they've been for 3,500 years.
Right. So that's what I say. So to your question, yes and no, right? There's the ones that out there that read the text in its original context and like, no, this is not who we are. But because the extremists have made it this way, they're all bundled that way, right?
Well,
because
let me just ask you this.
Yeah.
Let's just say 95% of the population of Black folk were all over the country killing people and stealing. Mm-hmm. But there are 10% nice Black folk. Mm-hmm. Would you want to stand up and say, we got to stop this? This is not all of us?
100%. 100%.
So here's where I'm going. Mm-hmm. I do not see very many peaceful Muslims standing up and shouting this out. They've gotten very quiet because they know that the radicals are dangerous. They understand, and they are afraid as well to speak up. I don't know how to take a hold of this. All I can say is I personally, as a white woman, have a very hard time separating this out. If I see a Muslim coming towards me as a woman, I'm scared.
So I'll say this, and this is something I just saw the other day, not only on TikTok, but on Instagram. So I know it's in multiple places, multiple different groups of people, but you actually have Muslims in New York City, like, they're protesting on the side of the road that they're against anti-Semitism. Right. So you do have these pockets. But again, right, we know how this country works. The loudest and the wrongest, and I know wrongest is not a word, but you know what? I say that for a reason. Right. Gets the platform. like free Palestine, but you don't see you don't see the pictures of the Muslims saying anti-Semitism is not cool. Because a lot of I saw a dialogue between a couple of Muslims and some free Palestine people. They're like, Muslims and Jewish people have been living together in harmony for almost 2,000 years in Israel. What are you talking about? What you mean free Palestine, right? Like, it's like.
But you know, Rod, it's very, very hard not to see this level of violence.
I know.
And we're not talking about Chicago.
Right.
Murders. We're not talking about all the crime that always existed in New York. We're talking about a level of disgusting, despicable, beheading people in the street, like something like we have never even thought we would see. It's unacceptable, and it's becoming very difficult to want to accept Muslims into this country because of
and I agree
for all of them.
I agree, and I agree 100% with you. The perception is real.
Yep. And unfortunately, for the good ones.
And again, right, and it goes to, and you brought it up just a second ago about, you know, the dark melanated folks, right, and how everybody looks at all dark melanated folk a certain way, right, and this is why, right, and people, I don't really, this is probably the first time I've said this like kind of publicly, but people had the indication I've always done this, I just never said it out loud, but this is why I don't associate with a lot of darker melanated people for this reason. And I know to some people it sounds crazy, but I'm like, look, my skin tone does not define me. And by me hanging around you, people are going to associate that behavior with me also. Right, by default, right? It's just like, you know, people will sit here, and this is why I hear you've seen it, you've heard people, you know, that follow me, been following me on social media for years. You know, the people come on, oh, you're just a coon. And that's where all this stuff comes from. And it's like, no, because I'm not down with the culture of people, right? Especially once they have the same skin tone as I do, running around shooting each other, right? You turn around, and this is going to be kind of vulgar, but I got to keep it 100. I got to keep it 100, right? A group of people that says the white man is the threat to America, yet they won't part one bullet towards a white man. It always got to be somebody that looks like them, right? These teen takeovers down here in Florida, the one over here in St. Pete, the one over yonder right over here on Daytona and Volusia County, right? And in all of those, a gun was fired at somebody and somebody got injured. And there was a bunch of people that had the same skin tone as me.
Yeah.
What do you mean I want to associate with that and be so-called quote-unquote pro-black? No, I don't associate with negative behavior. I don't associate with reckless behavior because of my skin tone. I don't have to accept that. That is not my experience in life, nor can I not relate to that experience.
That's your boundary.
Like, this is crazy, but people will stand on the radio, on podcasts, and stand 10 toes down on it. Like, this is us. And I'm like, if that's you, I definitely don't want to be anywhere near you or any of you or any of your past 3 generations of that.
Hey, when Obama was running for president, I got accused of being a racist because I was looking at what he was saying and didn't want to vote for him.
Right.
It was that simple.
I didn't vote for Obama.
You're voting for someone because they're black?
Right.
You're hiring someone because they're black?
And you know what, Miss Val? I'm going to keep it real with you, Miss Val. I'm going to keep it real with you. These dark melanated folks voted for Obama. Watch this, y'all. And I'm going to say it out loud again because I'm on a roll tonight. That same black man, you so-called self-identifying black man you voted for, sold you out to white people. Sold you right the fuck out. I'm talking you sold you on a silver platter with a poo-poo tray with no sauce, okay? They ate your ass raw, Okay, but people don't want to talk about how they got sold out. Huh?
Yep.
Huh? He gave you the stimmy check, right? Remember, he gave out the stimulus checks, right? Gave out all them stimulus checks. At the same time, Obama was helping, quote unquote, watch this again, people, those same white people to take your house from underneath you because of subpar mortgage lending. Snatched your house from underneath you. But Obama was the greatest black president we ever had, and he helped those white people take your house from underneath you.
That's right.
Like, what the fuck are we talking about around here?
What a tool. What a tool he was. Ah. Anyway, Rod,
Yes.
now that I've gotten you all riled up, I've learned how to do that over 7 or 8 years.
Something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now we all have to go to bed and not be upset.
Well, I'm not upset. The facts don't upset me. It upsets me when people don't accept the fact.
Exactly.
That's what's
don't
upsetting.
do anything. No action. No nothing. You sit on your ass watching soccer and basketball and running around. I don't know what people do anymore. I moved because I did not want to be tempted anymore and waste my time. I wanted to learn. I wanted to take action. I wanted to do something to correct the horrible mess we've gotten into in the United States of America. I don't want to go shopping anymore, except for food. I don't want to waste my time with people who mean nothing, with fake friendships and fake media and fake news and fake everything. I have no time for that. I only have time for reality and dealing with what needs to be dealt with. And if it's all of us that have to do it, oh well, we're just going to do it. See what you've done to me, Rod, all these years?
My bad.
Yeah.
It's all good. It's all good. We got to roll out though. Thank you, Ms. Val. As always,
Okay.
Thank you. Oh, I got to answer this question real quick. Miss Cheryl put in the chat, and I can't resist this question because something just happened during Biden's term that I need to put out there on short notice. But I need to write something on Patreon about it. Miss Cheryl asked, do people? I'm gonna pin the question. Do people from Muslim countries check the white box on paperwork? Yes, legally they have to check the white box for now, right? We have to remember, right? During the Biden administration, they created a new race and no one knew it. They created a new race called MENA, MENA, which stands for Middle Eastern North Africa, which includes the nations from the nation of Western Sahara, through Morocco, through Tunisia, through Libya, through Egypt, right, all the way around to Israel, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, Arabia, Oman, Bahrain, Qatar, in UAE. All of those countries are considered their own race now per the United States government called MENA. So now when the documents are updated, those countries will have to mark MENA. They are no longer white. Yes. So when I hear these people out here talk about, well, the race, no. Race, they just proved to you race is a government concept that is pushed on society for you to self-identify with so they can count you in statistics a certain way. And they can create them willy-nilly like they did with this MENA designation. Anyway, we're going to get real up out of here, Ms. Val. Thank you. I want to thank everybody for listening, and who's listening later. Thank you for that too. Remember, check us out, torturelibertymedia.com, 9thamendmentproject.org. Check us out on Patreon at TOLMF, which is Torture Liberty Media Foundation. And make sure you subscribe to all of our shows on any of the podcast platforms that you have available to you. And with that, remember, people, love your neighbors, love your family, but ultimately love yourselves. Until next